Welcome to the Weekly Wind Down. I'm your host, Monique Je. And on today's episode, we're dealing with conversations that can save our nation. I have a very special guest today. Her name is Miss Irum Jones. So you want to come back, make sure you grab your tablets, and don't forget to grab your glass of wine and come back for this episode of the Weekly Wind Down. Welcome back to the Weekly Wind Down. I'm your host, Monique Je. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Miss Irum Jones. Irum is a business owner of Electrician on Call, as well as a philanthropist with many special organizations. We're going to talk to Irum about a lot of different things today. So I want to welcome Irum to my show. Welcome, Irum.
Thank you so much for having me, Monique.
Oh, thank you so much for showing up. I do want to what we want to do with each of our shows is the goal is to have meaningful conversation in hopes that it will grow the audience just based on me and you just have an open conversation about the different topics. Okay. Well, in our first segment, I always like to get to know my guests. Right. So I'd like to ask you a couple questions about yourself and lighten our audience. Okay. First one I'm going to ask you is, I stated that you were a business owner. Yes. First of all, tell me a little bit about your business.
Okay. I'm one of the owners for Electrician on Call, and we are a home services organization. So my husband and I are the original owners, the co-founders, and my job is to make sure that our customers are happy and that we don't compromise quality in anything that we do. So we offer heating, ventilation, AC services, as well as electrical.
Okay. And I did mention, well, first let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We said Electrician on Call, but we didn't say where we're located at. So where can they find you guys?
We are actually physically located in Dallas. We have 2 locations, but we service all of Dallas-Fort Worth. So we have been around for 20 years.
Okay,
we're one of the highly...
Congratulations on that, because that's hard for a business owner.
It is.
To stay in business. Well, we mentioned philanthropy, and I said several different organizations. Yes. Do you mind naming a few?
I definitely can. Currently, my placement is with the Junior League of Collin County as the Diversity and Inclusion Chair. So I get to visit all of the different 30-plus cities, talk to local communities and nonprofits, and educate them about what diversity and inclusion really means.
Okay.
So we bring that up with many, many different people, and it impacts the community. It's wonderful. And then I'm also a board member for This Side of Family, which is a wonderful organization that actually focuses on creating a healthy family dynamic. So unlike other organizations that actually wait for families to fall apart, our organization actually focuses on creating a firm foundation and enjoying that time kind of spent together.
Well, we kind of met each other in dealing with working with our children. Yeah. And we both figured out that we both like giving back and working in the community. What makes you want to do what you do? Especially, I heard you say something about diversity. Yes. What makes you want to kind of work in that particular area?
Yeah. So that is my passion. So I'm also with the Texas Pool. So that's a National Historic Landmark. It is the only landmark in the entire United States that is built like the state of Texas. So over 60 years ago. So I like to focus on nonprofits that I kind of reflect and say, if I was younger and I had access to this resource, would my childhood have been better? Okay. And so I back things up like that. And so diversity and inclusion is such a big thing for me because I came from New York City, a melting pot. Okay. I grew up overseas as well. So I was able to see the different snapshots of what happens in our country.
Well, you don't mind me asking, where overseas did you grow up?
Okay. So I was born in Pakistan, but our family is from Saudi Arabia. So it's kind of like the U.S., people come to the country, they're born here, but their roots are somewhere else. And so Jeddah, which is a port city, is just like New York City. It's on the port. It has tons of immigrants and other people, and all of the immigrants in that area just love each other. Mm-hmm. And so if you're from that city, you just rejoice that you're from that city. Kind of like New Orleans. When you meet someone from New Orleans, you're like, oh, okay. So that's how it is being from those 2 cities. So when I came down to Texas, I noticed that we had a gap there. Yeah. And so when the Junior League of Collin County had a position open, I jumped right in and did all that I could. Okay.
Did you find being from Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, were you welcome with open arms? Did you have to what did you experience, I guess, in a
When
sense?
I first came down to Texas,
Yes.
I realized it was Texas country, and that it's called Texas country for a reason. And I didn't quite understand that until I got here. So what I did understand was when I came down, I was actually categorized as either you're white or you're black or you're Mexican.
Okay.
And I got.
Well, you don't look. I mean, well,
I know,
I guess you can feel black.
and so I would go around and I would try to educate people, and they didn't understand where that part of the world was. And then I just started saying, I'm just from New York, and everyone said, all right, we know where New York is from. But there was very low tolerance. People didn't want to know. People didn't care. And so I've kind of felt like my mission is to move people from tolerance to acceptance, because it means two different things. Tolerate means I don't like you, but I'm here because I got to put up with you.
I tolerate a lot of people.
Exactly. We don't need that. I want to be accepted, open
Right.
arms, feel included in everything. So that's really what kind of pulls on my heartstrings.
And that makes sense to why with the organizations you work in diversity. Because, I mean, most of us, we generally are passionate about the things that have affected us either in our childhood or somehow, you know, throughout our life. We stated about giving back. Tell me why you think it's important to give back. And do you think giving back can only happen when you reach a certain stage in life, a plateau in life?
Not at all. So giving back is what we consider hard work. Okay. It refreshes us. We get paid in smiles. We make the community better. We don't ask for anything except for future generations to reap the rewards. We're giving future generations opportunity. That's what hard work means. So if you go into it with expectations of you're going to make something flourish that never had the opportunity to flourish, right? Then that makes you feel good. And sometimes you can't get that out of your 9 to 5 or your business, right? So I balance my time with my hard work versus my hard work, which is being the CEO of Electrician on Call. But you don't have to reach that status of having enough funds or any, resources. You can start by offering your God-given talents at any capacity and just being a volunteer.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for sharing that information. What I did definitely want to do, because we've had conversations outside of the show, and being an electrician and having a husband that's an electrician who, we'll discuss in later segments, but he's an African American male.
Yes.
We were talking about, just the importance of letting boys and girls, especially, in minority cultures, know that there's other things to do and businesses to get into and trades to get into where they can make pretty good money and not necessarily have to attend a 4-year university.
Absolutely.
So kind of, talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So the trades is something that we definitely need everyone to get into, even those that don't quite understand why it's important. It's something that you can use anywhere in any part of the world. Think about it. We use electricity for everything. In Texas, if your AC goes down for 5 minutes, we are in complete distress.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay?
I am.
So imagine if at the age of 16, your child starts an apprenticeship program, and by the age of 18, they actually know how to do some repairs under, of course, a mentorship program, but with HVAC, which is heating, ventilation, air, cooling. You're able to troubleshoot an AC. Think about if you go into a community that has broken ACs or older models and stuff like that. That one child can make a difference in so many different lives. And so that's what gets me excited about the trades. And being a woman in the trades, it is a male-dominated industry.
Yes.
So I love to take a look at the technical aspect of it, the machinery, the mechanics of it, but I also like to do the back-end stuff. So as a woman, hearing the horror stories of just the different things that happen. Sometimes people hire unlicensed folks that come in. Sometimes there's tragic things that happen in the house or your property that could have all been avoided if you hired someone that was licensed. So I love to tell people the lessons learned in it. And again, if we started off our kids at a very early age, they can start at the going rate right now, off peak for HVAC, for heating and ventilation, is $35 an hour.
Oh, wow.
When you hit summer, it's $60, $125. Now, what I told Dave, which was my husband, is when November comes around, guess who's going to HVAC school? I am.
That's what I was just about to say. Like we got time to do anything else, but you know, hey, if we think about something, we try it. Well, again, Irum, I wanted to thank you. I like to call this segment, we're winding down. Personalities, relationships is coming up next. Okay. But we're going to go ahead because we didn't have a chance to sip our wine while we were on camera. You guys make sure you go and grab your glass of wine. We're going to be back for our next segment, which is winding down relationships. Thank you for tuning in to the Weekly Wind Down. Welcome back to the Weekly Wind Down. I'm your host, Monique Je, with my special guest, Miss Irum Jones. I told you guys in the previous segment that this segment, we're calling it Winding Down Relationships. In this segment, we talk about personal relationships. We talk about friendships, in relationship with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse. So a couple of the questions that I was going to ask you, Irum, I've already got the answer in the previous segment. So we do know that you're married. We did say that your husband is African American male. Which means, of course, now that my next question is, do you have a preference in dating, or did you have a preference? Did you only like, because reality is some people, like, I don't like light-skinned black men. I'm just being honest. They good as friends, but not to date. Did you have a preference where you only wanted to date African Americans, Pakistanians, Saudi Arabians? What, you know? No.
I actually had no preference. I just, and this is going to sound a little silly, so I just kind of like a nice golden skin tone, because I feel like it complements us, you know, kind of thing. And so I was looking for straight teeth. That's what I was looking for. Okay?
That's important to me too. And bad shoes. They can't have bad shoes. I'm just
bad feet. Right. No, but I was looking for straight teeth, and I actually wasn't looking. That's the thing. Okay. He was just. We went to college together, and for 6 months we were partners in class, and I was able to see that he was a good man, sticking to school. I was not interested whatsoever. Oh, okay. And we turned out to be lab partners, and we had we had an A in the class together, so we worked well together.
Y'all smart.
So so I said, all right, and then we moved forward. But before then, I didn't date.
And did all nationalities of guys ever try to talk to you?
Yeah,
it didn't
all nationalities. But he was actually the first black man that I
and look at that. What do you say? Why don't you go black?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm just playing. That's it. But okay, so that is interesting in what you said, that you guys were not initially looking for each other, and I think that is a testament to kind of what my theory is in regards to when somebody is for you. You don't have to go searching for them. It doesn't take a whole lot of work. You know, people will say, oh, you know, I believe relationships are work because it's two different people coming into a situation trying to be one. But work in regards to, you don't really like a lot about this person, they don't really like a lot about you, but you're trying to force it to happen. That's the kind of work that I don't think a relationship is.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just wanted to, ask you that question, see if you had a preference. Now, since we do know you guys come from two different backgrounds, or two different cultures, do you experience anything, like just say when you guys, do you guys have children?
We do. We have 2 children together. We got a 16-year-old Zara and a 10-year-old Lennox son. Okay.
Well, that's going to help with my question. When you guys are out as a family or out together, do you ever feel like you get like looks from people? What people are you getting little strange looks from? And what I'll say here, and I always say this to my guests, this is a safe space. I believe that we grow from conversations. I believe that a lot of times things are swept under the rug and people don't talk and hear another person's perspective, which prevents them from growing. So be honest, as comfortable as you feel, and tell me.
I'm an open book. So I do get stares sometimes, but I get stares from actually Pakistani or Indian or South Asian people. I don't really fit into that category as much because, I grew up in a melting pot and I didn't grow up in that country. So a lot of times, maybe the first or second generations, they'll look in, they'll go, wait, what's going on here, because that culture is very, they're within each other, and there's not a lot of openness. I mean, we're getting there.
Right.
We really are.
I mean, but I think there's a lot of cultures that aren't bred here in the United States. They stick together. I mean, that's just and in one way, that's the reason why they're successful a lot of times, because they do support and want to be with one another. But I can imagine, but no black women looking at you crazy or none of that.
No, not at all. And I had a funny thing when we were first together, or in the earlier years. Zara, my daughter, was probably a year old, and we were walking through the mall, and we were all three together, and this group of girls, they came up to my husband and they held his hand while we were together. And I said, oh my God, if I'm with you and, and they kind of, in walking, like held your hand, I could just imagine how the women are when I'm not with
around,
you.
right?
And so I reflected on that, and I was just kind of like, does that happen all the time? And he says, I think that just happened because they were probably trying to test you. But after that, I had my guard up, and I kind of reflected. I was like, maybe I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they grabbed his hand and said what?
Oh, I think they told him that he was like handsome or something like that. And they were walking by. So we were walking one way. They were walking the other way, and Zara was in the middle, and they just kind of grabbed his hand in passing, and it was just happened so fast. And he laughed, and I laughed, but later on I went, wait,
I should have gave him a black eye.
but we have such a great relationship in that that we kind of laughed it off. But later on I was like, wait, maybe I was walking too fast. Maybe it didn't look like we were all together, So now I'm much more mindful that when we walk together, we walk side by side together, and we have never had that issue.
Not again. Okay, because I was just going to say and be honest. Black women, we size up the situation, and we know that we can be very intimidating. If we see a black man with the woman and we not sure if she black too, and sometimes even if they're black too, if they think that they are better looking, more better shape, they will be disrespectful. So just know it could have been that, but it could have just been they confident in themselves and they thought, but hey, little did they know. Now, how many years you guys been married?
20 years.
Okay, so I don't know if you saw probably 2 or 3 of my episodes where I talk about age and getting married. What age were you guys when you got married?
Well, he's 8 years older than me.
Okay.
So I was 20 at that time. And so we were, we've been together ever since.
Okay. So have you heard my little philosophy about age? No?
No, not yet. But
okay.
I think it might match mine, but go ahead.
I kind of have come to the conclusion, or in my theory, I always say that nobody has to agree with me, but I think that people shouldn't choose who they say for the rest of my life with until 35 or older.
Okay.
Reason I say that is because it's not 100% of the time, but to me, probably 75% of the time, people don't know who they are, what they want personally prior to that age. And so I think it's hard to choose rest of the life at that, prior to that age. Yeah. What you think about that?
Well, I
mean, I know you guys worked out, but just saying in your experience.
I'll tell you this, I feel like my situation is a little different because I grew up in a melting pot. I had a very dynamic and impressionable childhood. I grew up as a city kid, which I've met probably over 2 million people in my lifetime, just in that. So I was very sure of myself and very mature for my age. At that point, I knew what I wanted in life. And so we just happened to be college kids together that had the same goals and continue to have the same goals.
Well, see, I'm going to own up to me saying that. You the first one. No, you're probably not the first one. But I still think how I think. But the more people I meet who can prove me wrong, I'm open to that. Thank you so much for being so open and honest. Time goes by when you're having a good conversation. But we're going to come back. Our next segment is going to be winding down money. As you know, I am an accountant. I am known as the Money Mastermind. I wouldn't be me having a show if I didn't talk about money, how money affects life, how it affects businesses, families, and all that. So make sure if you did not get your notebooks in the previous 2 segments, you definitely want to grab, because we're going to be giving some great tips. Come back for the next segment of the Weekly Wind Down. Welcome back to the Weekly Wind Down. Our Money Wind Down segment is brought to you by a team of independent influencers for the Trip Rideshare Company. The Trip of a Lifetime team says, with our Trip drivers and partners, and they keep 100% of their fares and tips. And riders save with no surge pricing and Trip reward savings. Trip Rideshare, where safety for our drivers and riders is our top priority. So much so that they have created a panic button in their app. And amongst other things, they have a ton of other safety features. So make sure you download your Trip Rides app today. It's available in the Google Play Store, and it will be available soon on the Apple iOS App Store. You want to use referral code TRYPMONIQ753 for access to Trip Rideshare. Or you can visit www.tripofalifetime.net for more information on Trip Rideshare. All of this information on Trip Rideshare will be available under our comment section for our show, as well as information on Electrician on Call and all of the different things we talk about on today's show. So now let's get into our money segment. I wanted to ask you a little bit about what do you think are keys to having a financially successful business?
Okay, so first thing is you have to have a CPA or a trusted CPA. If you don't have a CPA, then you're really running as a sole proprietorship. And being a business owner is always staying on your finances. You have to have a budget and stick to it, and your CPA is your best friend. Okay. You're going to learn to love them.
Okay, that's interesting you say. Of course, me doing what I do, I run across people who are in business, and it is horror stories. No offense. I mean, there are great CPAs, great accountants, and then there are some people who are, just with any profession, are just in it for the money and they're not looking out. And I want you, to basically kind of clarify how important that is, because when people hire a professional, they are entrusting that you're going to handle those finances the way that you should. It's the worst thing for a business owner to know that they've handed over all their paperwork and then just say, God forbid, and all that happens and nothing is right and nothing is together. And you're like, well, what have I been paying you for all this time? So I definitely agree. And I hope our business owners out there understand that, because so many try to function strictly off of just themselves and what they are able to do. They are not taught about, commingling funds and things like that. And sadly, when they come for an audit, they count I'm sure any money that's used that's not used for business purposes, they want to see it on your personal tax return.
Absolutely.
So you just mentioned budgeting. We talked about you having 2 children. Do you teach your children about budgeting? Have you started teaching them yet? What do you do?
Absolutely. So we're minimalist, and that's just another way of saying, not that we're cheap. I'm just saying that's another way of saying that we only purchase what we need. Okay, so although we own Electrician on Call and several other ventures, and we live a very low-key lifestyle, and we have taught the kids that it's not material possessions that make us happy. It's what we do with our time to be productive. And we give the children a budget, and their goal is to come under budget in everything that they do.
Is this weekly or monthly?
Monthly.
Monthly, okay.
And so, for example, if there's a shopping spree, it has to be earned. The grades have to be at the level A. Everything has to be done. I mean, we operate on this thing called the 300% rule. I don't know if you guys know about it. Okay.
Sure.
The 300% rule means that you're going to put 100% of effort into 100% of what you do 100% of the time.
Right.
So don't give me your 100%. That's not enough for me. 300%, that means in your books, in your household chores, that means in your folding your laundry, in your sports, every aspect of your life. Because if you're that thorough in what you do, you're going to be excellent in anything that you do. So that goes back to the books and all that other stuff. When we talk about running a business, you can't do business half the time, and you can't assume that your business is going to make you rich. There's difference between rich and being wealthy, right? So wealthy is making sure that you can keep as much funds, tucked away, invested somewhere else. Listen to your CPA. You're not going to like them at first, but they are there to protect you. And so we actually introduce our kids to some of these things up front. Our kids intern at the company. We show them that we do anything from cleaning bathrooms all the way up to actually making decisions on the legislative side. So they get to see, as a true business owner, again, it's not about living in the biggest house on the block or anything that defines your success or what your wealth is. It really is how much can you tuck away for good use later.
And are you able to take care of emergency situations when they arise because you did do right by the money at the time? It's funny you say you make the kids, your children intern. I kind of, because I have a lot of friends who don't have businesses, and they always try to tell me, my daughter's 17, and they're like, and she's like, I want to work. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to work for your family business. And they're like, oh, let her go out. I'm like, why would I give my labor to build someone else's empire? She can come. I need help. We need help in this business, and she is intelligent enough to help in a lot of areas. So she's going to come because she wants the money from it. So why shouldn't she come and contribute working as well? So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'd like to talk about, you did say about you guys have a few other things. You think it's important to have multiple streams of income?
Absolutely. So I think the statistic is that if you do want to earn, not in a revenue sense, $1 million, anyone can do that. If that should be your long-term goal. But net profit, which means after everything's paid out, you have $1 million sitting at the bank, or enough assets where you have your net worth is over $1 million. Okay, so we try to teach the kids that you need at least 7 to 8 streams of independent income. So that means you're wearing multiple hats. So for example, I'm in the trade. I can be a construction project manager. That's $195 an hour if someone was to put me on a project. As a person that does facilitation, I can come in at $155 an hour. Once I go and do my HVAC stuff, I can come in at $65 an hour. So there's different things you can do. But the thing is, once you divide up your streams, guess what? You still need a CPA for each and every one of them. So, they're going to let you know. Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing. Sometimes people fall into a trap that because they make more, they're going to get more. And that's not true. There are things called brackets. And only your CPA is going to tell you about that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. The money part, it's so hard to fit it into our time that we have, because there are so many people who are living below, above their means. And a few people, I think there are probably only a few people who are living within their means. So this segment, that's why each time we try to talk about it, I want to thank you for sharing your philosophy, especially the 300%. I want to make sure my daughter watches this episode so she can hear that. We don't want no 100%. We want 300%. Again, you guys, if your glass of wine is getting low, kind of like me and Irum's, I want you to go fill it up for this last and final segment of the weekly wind down. We're going to give you our Monique Je thought. Miss Irum is going to share her contact information for her business and whatever other organizations that she would like to, we call it pump up on the show, so that you guys can get help or get information regarding them. And definitely, if you're in the DFW area, you'll be able to contact and call Electrician on Call. So you guys come back for the weekly wind down. Welcome back to the weekly wind down. This has been a very, very exciting, interesting, educating episode for me. Irum, and it's all really because of you, because I don't really know nothing about what you was talking about. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing the information with me as well as our viewers. We always definitely want to make sure that our viewers are able to, contact. We support business, support small business. So give your website, your social media. It will be in our information for the show, but I want you to say it on the show as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can visit us online at www.electricianoncall.com. We take online bookings as well, and we do free estimates. You can find us on Facebook. And then we also have a Knox Media Group, which is www.noxxmediagroup.com, which is websites. We have our own internal marketing group that does a variety of stuff. And we love supporting women-owned businesses and nonprofits and all the other organizations out there. And then the nonprofits that I support, that I hold near and and dear to my heart are This Side Up Family Center. And so just spell out the word, thissideup.family.org, and I'll send you the information as well.
Okay.
And then we have the TexasPool.org and the Junior League of Collin County.org, which are just amazing organizations that are out there.
You are tired. And you should, babe, but you look beautiful, so you're not at all, nobody can tell that you're doing all the things you do. Thank you so much for what you do in the community as well.
Thank you.
As always, we like to end our show with a Monique J thought of the day. And it's something, actually, I thought of it a couple days ago, and I was like, that's going to be the thought of the day on the weekly wind down. So what it is, I hope you guys are listening, it is, you will never find something that you're not actively looking for. Think about that. Understand that it's your effort in anything that you want. Go for what you want, because you can achieve any and everything. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Weekly Wind Down, and I'll see you next time.